Let's start our meeting tonight, August 8th. We do have a quorum. We are going to get a roll call by Linda, our secretary. And then I'll get a motion to open the meeting.
Lisa Joyner,
Here, present.
John Cody,
Here.
Regina Young,
Here.
Valerie Ray,
Valerie's gonna attend by Zoom.
I'm here. I'm here.
and our new member Ben Foreman,
Here. We have a new member, Ben Foreman.
Randall Martin.
Randall Martin is gonna be late. He hosts his radio show and it ends at 6. So he is on his way. Yeah. And then first we want to say to those members that left us because they got jobs with the city. They're getting paid for their services. Bye. But we're gonna miss you.
We're still getting all the respect you ever got.
And we want to welcome our new member, Ben Foreman. Thank you for sending in your letter very soon, and it was accepted. Thank you. All right, now, can I get a motion to open up the meeting?
So move.
And I'll second it.
So, anyone opposed? All in favor? Okay.
Hey,
All right, first thing on the agenda is 735-737 Columbia Street, and they've been postponed for next month. So we're gonna, can I get a motion to open up the planning, the public hearing for 737? Can I get a motion to open that up?
Sure.
Okay, second,
I'm
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? All right, so now, we're going to close that, right? Oh, but is anyone here that wants to ask questions about? Anybody? The planning board, do you have any questions about? Okay, anyone in the audience? Have any questions that anyone to ask about 737 Columbia Street? Can you hear me?
Hardly. Not really,
Hmm.
barely. Microphone, you hear back here. No, we are even here.
No one. Yeah, right.
We don't want to accept money that's.
The projects for you. I'm getting like.
Does anyone have any comments on 735 to 737 Columbia Street? Before we
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like we can close that.
No, continue, we're waiting on new information from the applicant. So we need a motion to continue the public hearing in the September meeting.
Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to September for 737 Columbia Street? Can I get a motion? Okay, 1 second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any
Aye.
opposed?
September 11th. Yeah.
I think I saw.
Okay,
Move your chairs and come closer.
Yeah.
What are the chances of the board moving around and facing the audience? We can't see your faces and we can't hear you. And
You
this
just
is
have to
a
shift
big
around.
important meeting.
Oh. We have to set up with the owl and the screen.
we apologize, it's awkward, but if you could just be patient and bear with us, we'll do something different next month.
Do we have a microphone?
We don't.
Okay, then the next one is 241 Warren will open. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing for 241 Warren Street? Second,
So second.
all in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Are they here?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, there
Good evening.
Good evening.
Pretty much, remember the last time over here? Good.
Yeah, I guess so.
We did send the plans digitally.
You
The
did?
last time we had.
And we want to thank you for that.
We also have some hard copies. I don't know if people want to have them in front of them. If you do, we have them.
Here and then the audience can maybe
Hear you
read
better.
lips or maybe hear better.
Yeah, I'll try and project. But you're not gonna be able to see unless if you guys want, I guess, if you don't need the plans, we can share them with you if you'd like to see what we're gonna do with 241, what we're hoping to do with 241. 241 Warren Street.
This is the public hearing, so.
It's,
Okay.
241 Warren Street.
I don't know, just trying
It's a big yellow, like pale yellow building.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we have a picture on the screen?
we should.
Are all of these on, their materials on board?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll start and we can move slowly. So, first of all, I want to thank you guys again for inviting us back and giving us an opportunity to share with you what our intentions are for 241 Warren Street. So what we want to do is we want to convert 241 Warren Street, which is currently a 2-family, back to a 4-family with 2 commercial spaces on the ground floor. So, like many buildings here in Hudson, 241 Warren Street was built probably in the mid-1800s, maybe a little bit earlier. It has gone through many renditions. It has been a 4-family previously with commercial space. And that's what we'd like to do. We'd like to convert it back to a 4-family, 2 1-bedroom apartments on the 2nd floor, 2 1-bedroom apartments on the 3rd floor, and 2 commercial spaces on the ground floor. Just to give you a little background history on it, we know that it was a 4-family probably back around 2012, 2013. We know that it housed a cigarette and cigar shop at one time. We know that it housed an Italian social club at one time, and we know that it's housed a number of art studios. And actually it was interesting, Mike had been talking to, I'm Bernadette Fitzgerald, by the way, and this is Mike Fitzgerald. We are the proud owners of 241 Warren Street.
Yeah, all we wanted to add there was really, when we did buy the building, the owners told us that the only reason they changed at the time from 4 to 2 was to avoid the water bills because they were only using it for a little purpose. So they left all the plumbing details of the original condition of the building. So all the roughings are there, to see what it was like back in the day. And we basically want to put it back exactly the way it was. And this way it will be for this similar use.
Right, so we shared plans with you so you can see the layout of the 1-bedroom apartments. Our goal is to make them real desirable living spaces, right? Open and airy and sunny. We're gonna have washers and dryers in each of the units, dishwasher, ACs. The building has incredibly high ceilings. I don't know how high are they, Mike, like 9 and 10 feet?
Some are 10 and some are a little weighted.
Yeah. And they're actually the wood floors, the original wood floors are still there and they're still in beautiful condition. So we are gonna leave them there as well. So sunny, bright, lots of amenities, really creating a warm and welcoming home for whoever would like to live there. In addition to that, we really do, understand the need for outdoor space. So the gorgeous yard that's there will actually be accessible to anybody who's renting for us in the building. We'll give them an opportunity to relax and converse and actually have community with the folks that are living in the building with them.
Shared use.
Yeah, shared use. So I think if anyone's familiar with that block on Warren Street, you know that there is multiple families with commercial space on that block. And so basically what we want to do is, just have our building be like the other buildings that are there. We also are aware of how beautiful the facade is, right? It's historic, it's gorgeous, and we're not going to touch it. We wanted to leave it the way it is so that people can appreciate it and that it actually, blends in because of the use of the building, but also stands out because of the beautiful facade. We do think that obviously across the nation and here in Hudson, we have a housing shortage. So anything we can do to add additional housing to Hudson, we think would be beneficial to the community. And we think the apartments that we're gonna create will allow for people from all different demographics and lifestyles to enjoy living there. Look at and then we also think, you know what? Bringing a few more people in, it's not gonna change the makeup of the block that much because we're going from a 2-family to a 4-family. But it is gonna bring some income, right? We'll have some commercial spaces, so there'll be some kind of business going on. We'll have 2 more families living in the building. They'll be bringing some financing too, so it'll be beneficial and that way to the community as well. I think, is there anything else you want to say, Mike, about it?
Not really, only that, you know, I have a lot of experience in the business myself. I'm in the business, over 40 years.
He
And,
means the carpentry.
I am a carpenter by trade, and, I have, been responsible for a lot bigger projects than this one back in my day. And, I'm looking forward to this as I did in many cases before. And I hope that everything goes well tonight and we can proceed.
Thanks. So any questions for us?
I have a question, or
Yes.
just so that I make sure that I understood it. So there's 3 levels to that building when I looked at it.
Yes.
So on the first floor, you're gonna do the 2 commercials.
Right.
And then there's gonna be 2 units on the second and third. And I saw in the application that you have also 3 off-street parking
There is
spots.
garage, there is, we
Okay,
have
so I
garage.
must have missed that. I'm double checking. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Will that be used for the tenants?
If they would like to rent that from us,
Yes.
by all means, it'll be there to be rented.
Will you be living on the premises?
We will not.
Okay. And will you restore I'm looking at the front of the building. What are you gonna do with that front? Just leave it like that?
Leave it like the way it is, you know, eventually maybe after we speak to the historic.
Storage preservation.
Yeah,
If there's any recommendations, we'd like to hear this, you know,
Yeah.
in a minute, but, I don't see any reason to change it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
we want to preserve what's there. That's the whole idea.
I mean, it needs to be painted.
Painted.
yeah, it's right, it's in the eye of the beholder, right now I'm looking at. it.
Of course, yeah. It needs to be, it needs to be.
But I just wanted the public to know they're not gonna do anything, the stores are gonna be inside of the building.
Yeah,
You walk
yeah.
inside,
Yeah.
and have stores on both sides,
Yeah.
one store on one side,
Yeah.
one store on the
That
other.
is correct,
Just like
yeah.
many of our neighbors
Right,
actually
exactly.
have it that way. You
Right.
walk into
Yeah,
the
that
building
was-
and then you enter the store.
So everything's gonna stay the
That
same.
was the reason we decided to have the entrances to the stores from the inside rather than from the street. Because if we did it from the street, we could take away from the front of the building
It works,
considerably.
yeah.
So we had thought about that, so we decided to go that road for that reason.
Well, I'm glad you made that decision. Any more questions from the plan?
Do you know what your target rent is for those apartments?
Honestly, it's gonna be so long before we actually get it done that it'll be market, whatever the market is, but obviously we're gonna wanna rent them, so we won't be on the high end of the market. We're gonna be probably in the middle range of the market.
And are you gonna I'm sorry,
No, you
are you gonna use any external contractors or are you doing all the work yourself?
We'll be doing the carpentry, but we'll be using local
Plumbers.
plumbers and
electricians.
electricians and other trades as well.
And your projected time for this was about 18 months, was it? not?
Yeah.
I'd say about that, yeah.
Yeah. I think it stays the same.
Okay, any questions from the public? Well, okay. Any questions from the public?
Sure.
Question, what kind of businesses are you considering for?
You know, probably like same thing, like art studios, maybe offices, the building next door has an architectural design company, so something probably like that.
Not a restaurant or cafe, that's not.
No, that's not our intention, no.
We have a guy that blows glass. He's interested in renting the space. He does some beautiful work. He'll be renting it to sell his stuff, not to me.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, can I get a motion? I think we can close this public hearing. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing on 241 Warren Street?
I make a motion.
We'll say.
Stay together. Now, do we want to? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Now, do we want to move ahead on this and do the resolution and approve the project? Okay, so can I get a motion?
We prepared a resolution for the board to consider approving the project tonight. Because of the simplified nature of the project, it does require some waivers unless you want to ask them to go back and provide you with more information. So it's up to the board. We identified the waivers for you in the memo that we sent. So we do have a resolution prepared that would grant the waivers and grant approval. One of the conditions of approval would be that they place a note on the plan saying that it won't be a water intensive use without further review, and that's in response to the sewer extension issue that we're currently having in this. That's fine.
Okay, I kind of agree with just the resolution with that conditions. How about you, Matt?
I was fine
Randall.
with that, I read that, so
Randall?
Yes.
Tina?
I'm fine.
So we all set. So can I get a motion to approve the resolution? To adopt the resolution for 241 Warren Street?
You got mine.
Okay, so first is Tina and then Randall. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so done. You'll get your resolution. We'll probably send it to you in the mail.
Okay.
You know, do it in the mail, okay? So
No.
we gotta sign it, get it signed by the city, get it stamped, and then we'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we have old business. The next the next applicant on our agenda is the Boulevards. That's 117, 119, and 122 Fairview Avenue. Are they here to present tonight?
It should be, yes.
Parkwood Boulevard.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you're adjourning that file, and haven't received any comments back, so there's not really anything to discuss here today.
So next month?
Yes, it is.
We don't have to, we're not doing the rules of
It's not a public hearing.
Okay, so the next applicant on our agenda is going to be A. Calaruso and Son. Tonight, we're just setting escrows and reviewing the presentation. And we'll be back.
You want me to explain?
Yeah.
So real quick, I know there's a lot of people from the public that are here. And just want to explain where we are at in the review process. The applicant has submitted 2 applications. One has to do with the road and one has to do with the dock. The planning board has issued a positive declaration on the dock, which was challenged, and we are waiting for the court to issue a decision on the dock. So tonight, the dock application is not going to be discussed. The only application that the board is reviewing is the road, and that's because the board was directed to review this application by the court.
So we don't need to go there.
If the board wants to go into an attorney-client session, we can do that before you give the presentation.
Did everyone get a chance to read what Victoria said? And do you, if you have.
Absolutely, and the legal documents too, as well.
Okay, if you have questions, we should go in attorney-client session and ask any questions, or we can just hear the presentation.
Just here.
Here. There we go. Okay.
Good evening,
Good evening. Good evening.
Chairman Joyner, members of the board. Thank you for putting this on the agenda. Thank you for reading the materials and being prepared for tonight. My name is John Privatera. I am a lawyer from Whiteman, Osterman and Hanna in Albany. I represent A. Calaruso and Son, the applicant here, as I have for 6.5 years. This is a local family-owned business. As I explained the history of this matter in my letter to each of you, that was a little while ago, I think July 25th, that had attachments. We've been seeking to build this haul road and to get the trucks off the city streets for over 6 years. We have approval to do that from the town of Greenport. Town of Greenport did all of the environmental review. And the court directive, as I explained in my letter, a little bit more detail than Ms. Polidoro provided. The court said that all the environmental review was done on the project by the town of Greenport, including traffic analysis, wetlands, everything. So we're ready to build it. You can see that the Columbia County Planning Board has been saying for years, since their first letter in 2017, that this is an environmental justice project, that it's good for the city, that it's consistent with all of the planning documents from the very beginning of the comprehensive plan over 20 years ago. When the comprehensive plan was developed, it was hoped that we could get these trucks off the street, but it was kind of visionary because they didn't know who would fund it. Colarusso, of course, will fund it, and has offered to go above and beyond what the law requires under the city zoning code, and has offered to pave it. If we can get this done and the permit is otherwise, that you issue is otherwise fair and consistent with the law, we have also said that we would reduce our hours of trucking by 36%, 30 hours. So right now we can operate 84 hours a week, 7 days a week. If we can get this done and everything works out in accordance with law, we would accept a condition imposed by you as a board to limit ourselves to those hours. And
That's just hours during the week.
during the week,
No hours on weekends.
that's right. So as we say in our letter, it would be 7 to 6, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 5 on Friday, and no truck traffic on weekends or major holidays. And we did that even though the vision has always been for the city to have a mixed-use waterfront. We did that in order to essentially make where we turn into the dock more user-friendly to pedestrians and arts and using the waterfront and the Basilica by not having weekend or Friday evening traffic. That wasn't envisioned in the code. Again, it says 7 to 7, but we think that makes sense for the community and we think it's fair. Like I said, it has been 6 years, 6.5 years, and we think it's time to build this thing. So we're ready for questions. As I said in the letter, the only conditions that might be imposed in accordance with law are to protect things so that we don't change the floodway. And we're not going to do that. We're just paving the top of the causeway and protect the wetlands. And we have a stormwater pollution prevention permit that's already in place that protects the wetlands. In fact, we will be restoring part of the wetlands where the service road now is, if we can pave the crown. So if you have my letter handy, you can turn to figure 1 or figure A, or you could look at this. I just wanted to show you sort of what existing conditions are and what we propose. Can everybody on the board see this? So right now we leave the quarry. And in order to get to the water, to the dock, which is essentially part of the mining operation, we go through the city and come back this way. In other words, we can only use this piece of the haul road
one way where the service road is. There is no functioning service road up in here. If we build this as we've requested to do, we would be using the green line all of the time, except in those emergency situations or force majeure situations, if I could use a legal term, when we're blasting on the east side over here, in which case we would have to go out the other side of the mine. And it would not be very frequent because it would only be safety when we couldn't go past that entrance. And we would come and we'd have to go around this way to get in. And or maybe this way if there was still blasting going on. The only other contingency would be if this flooded, which happens once every few years for a little while. And if we had an important load to make that was time sensitive, we might have to come through the city. We can't think of a time when that might have to happen, but I think it's fair to allow us to continue to do business if the causeway is flooded. So that's where we are. That's what we'd like to do. And I'd love to hear if you have any questions or concerns.
I have two questions that are related. If you go outside of those hours, is there a penalty? Or what's keeping you inside those hours? And then the second part of that question is due to the reduced hours, are you just going to increase usage during those hours so you still have the same product?
There'll be a slight increase in the usage during those hours because we have to do business. And if you impose it as a condition, it would be a permit violation for us to violate those conditions. And it would be up to the code enforcement officer in the city as to whether to warn us or fine us consistent with the code. I think it's still that he would have that power.
And you are proposing to use like a grass filler for, did I read that?
Grass filler?
Yes.
On the sides.
On the sides, the wetlands will be replanted in this, particularly this area right here. Because we use the old service road next to the causeway. You know, if you see tracks, it's common, you see the causeway or the raised area where the tracks are, and then often there's a service road next to it. That service road would be abandoned and restored over here. As other areas all along here would be restored, and we'd be up on the crown, paved.
So as I understand it, you're never requesting that you'd be able to use that road. If that road is usable and is built, you would never be on the city streets.
Except in those two emergencies.
Right. You said if it was flooding, which makes it impassable.
Right.
Or
We're blasting and mine safety blasting. It's not, I mean, I don't know, Bob, what? I don't want to tie ourselves in, but it could be.
it's only
5 hours. What?
Maybe two dozen times a year at the most.
A couple dozen times a year for less than an hour.
This year would have been twice.
And it would have to be when it conflicts with an effort to load barges too, so.
I mean, I find it hard to characterize that as an emergency. Couldn't we schedule around that because isn't it pre-planned?
It's not an,
When you would be blasting?
it's not an emergency, it's force majeure. Is it pre-planned? No, I mean, it's pre-planned, every blast is pre-planned,
Sure.
but every blast has to be done when it's done.
But then technically, if we allow that exception, as I understand it, if you wanted to increase your blasting schedule, then you'd be technically allowed to be on the streets more often. So let's clarify that.
Yes.
It would only be in this part of the quarry. The quarry is big. No, I said. Yeah. So would only be in the one section of that quarry.
That would force us to come out the other way.
Come down Worth Avenue. Or come on down.
But
Street now Worth Avenue.
We're willing to discuss any reasonable way to describe that. I don't know, we're not gonna, we don't think it's fair for it to be an exception that you can drive a truck through, excuse the expression. We expect it to be carefully crafted and we're not gonna try to exploit it.
Never.
It's better for us to always be on the hallway. We never want to be off the hallway. It's safer, it's faster, mostly it's safer.
definitely say that. Yeah, I
Is
just
that,
think.
oh, I'm sorry. It's me. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Valerie.
No, I was just trying to understand, and I'm asking some of the same questions as well, but how is that going to be regulated? I mean, I know you said it could be a couple of times a year, but is there a way or is there a measure we could put into place so that this couple of times a year don't turn into every other week or regularly, you know?
Yes, well, first of all, it would require, I think it would be reasonable for you, for this board, to require that we give notice to the code enforcement officer when we have to do it. We can't do it willy-nilly. We would also try to do it, you know, as seldom as possible. It's just hard to figure out exactly how many times a year. And it's only for at best an hour.
If you're only shutting down for an hour though, why can't you just not have trucks go during that hour so we?
Well, there's an issue with the truck sitting there. Drivers getting paid without productivity.
But I mean, if you're planning ahead of time, can't you schedule your drivers so that you don't have them sitting there during the blasting times? I'm just saying, I think there might be, if you could
Well, we
think
can
that
explore it,
through.
we should explore it together and figure out what works for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, we comply with the law, right? So you can't idle a truck for more than 5 minutes.
Mhm.
When you're trying to meet a contract deadline for loading a barge, you go at it. I mean, there are contracts involved, in terms of our delivery obligations. You know, we would like to keep things moving. And I don't think it's gonna be very often. I don't think it's fair to limit it, I don't know, to a particular hard number per year. But,
Well, I want to ask you.
Don't you keep records of those things?
Yeah.
well, we haven't had
Took
to.
it out of my mouth.
No,
Oh, we have absolute records of when we blast.
Absolutely.
Right, but when
When you're not using,
we're not using the truck.
right, when you're not
No,
using the road, you have records.
I don't know.
Records of when we're not using it.
Yeah, how often did you not use the road last year?
Well, we don't have it.
We don't have
I mean, oh, I'm sorry, but I thought you were coming in that way from the quarry.
No.
You're not?
No.
Well, so you have.
We're going straight down Roman Road to 23B. Through the city.
Okay,
Down
can we get a
Third Street.
site visit on this? Would that be wrong to ask you?
No,
Because, you know, you're showing, let me finish. You're showing me something that I didn't even, let me put that up. There's another way?
They're going through the city.
Let me see that.
You're bringing it.
But they're using it partially down here.
you and I walked at this.
Can I ask a question about like the barge usage?
Yes.
So is it my understanding that there was no particular time limit
This is how.
as to
This is-
waterway?
This is what they want.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
not
there
the
would not
waterway.
necessarily be the same constraints that you have right
Oh,
now
that's just.
in terms of Monday through
Okay.
Thursday from
No,
7 to
most-
6.
No, the
No.
dock would be on their own schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, loading the dock, it's just a truck
That's
traffic.
what I
And
thought.
and traffic on the river
That's what I
itself.
was trying to understand,
That's commerce. That's.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. Go
John,
over this
can you
again.
go over
but do a little-
The current path for everyone, or you have everyone here, just about whatever.
So you have a new board here. and
Okay.
A lot of us
Let's
are
start
not
fresh.
there.
Almost.
Almost, except for John.
I'll do it for you.
What is,
No, I think when I think you guys.
I don't know how to do this.
Twice and that was it.
now,
I understand they go
And
over
then-
Newman Road, over to state, state route, 9, and then use the truck route, do you not?
Right,
Yes.
So I got.
right now, here's the mine.
I'll come over and do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up Third Street. No,
Bring it to all
Come
of
this
us.
way.
Exactly what your letter.
no,
Right there.
yes. So we go out here.
Red.
That's
Down Third Street, we're down to this whole road that's on.
This piece of the hall.
And then to the dock. Yeah, that's what you were doing. That's what we are doing.
That's what we are doing.
right now.
And this is on the service road.
Right, the proposed route is here.
Right.
Proposed,
Yeah, which is coming from here
Right.
through the quarry and then coming out on nine.
And what you do, blasting is on the Newman, which is over
Yeah.
here.
Then we can't, if we're blasting over here, or we can't.
You can't use that.
Just, we're
I know
blasting.
my father was a dynamite specialist.
Oh, really? So
There you go.
we're blasting
That's a
on-
good
He
job.
did it for a living, yes, it
We're
was.
blasting on the other side, and it's not gonna affect us. Okay,
Right. So, but there's federal mine safety issues about,
And then every time we blast, we have a call list that we call, you can call Craig up or whoever the code enforcement is, say, we're blasting you today, we'll give them a time, between.
When you
12.
finish, you have to bring that.
Normally, it's, we try to do it either just before noon or after lunch.
And the code enforcement officer is the only one that has the knowledge of when that does occur.
we would give
Well, we
him,
would give that.
we would tell him. And
Next.
whoever else.
Come over here.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, sure.
Which way do you come? If you have to then change it.
We would go down.
Worth Avenue, we would come to the park and go out Worth Avenue and then come.
You go around 7th Street. Park.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
All of those.
Yeah.
would do
The
that.
orange line.
Hold it, we're gonna give the public ample time, trust me, we will. Right now, we need to understand it, so
Yeah.
we're here, right here.
Yes,
Right now, this board needs to
I'm
understand.
gonna come around in a second.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Next is here, and then.
So my question, would you be amenable, rather than you directing and telling the code enforcement, this is what you're gonna do, is asking for approval? This puts the city in the driver's seat of, granting and seeing how many times it happens, and it's,
Once we were loaded, it's gotta be manned. If we don't shoot, it's gotta be clear.
It's coming.
So the longer that we sit, the longer we're gonna be
Right, but
waiting
you-
for approval.
But the morning of, if you have a flight, or if the morning of.
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
have round.
No,
So you tell them, we tell them the night before, we're gonna blast. We're gonna be
We
blasting.
can't give him permission, we can't give him discretion to decide that we can't blast, because.
You're not talking about the glass, I'm
Right.
talking about the other one, driving through the
Right.
streets, so this way, it puts the city, and they would know,
Right.
okay, you had 10 incidents this year, maybe there's some inefficiencies in your process.
Right.
And you have to go back and do something different.
Right, right. But we're always gonna prefer using the Hall Road. The only time that we would do it is when we can't.
I understand, but that's the ambiguity, when you say, when you
It's the
say.
plan, ultimately, it will be the planning board approving it and placing the restrictions on it.
Right.
So that's their,
Right here.
proposing is the
Right
language.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come around.
Right here.
Right here, okay.
there. Okay, so we're there.
All right.
Okay, so
So
that's.
Let's do it by color.
Okay, go ahead.
By color. Right now, we come on a red line into city streets all the way down. We can use this piece of the Hall Road here on the service.
Okay, now that's the
On the
one we
service.
saw. That I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And then we come on.
And then we
Then
come-
when we leave on the,
No, we
no,
come,
sorry, we leave on the yellow line.
But you get this piece from, 9G.
Right now.
Yeah.
The proposal is to come the green.
This way.
and the orange
We're
line,
not blasting,
it's just
on
green.
the trucks to the Hall Road or to the dock will not be using. these three.
And the
Unless
orange-
it's a flood, then we'll be going around. Well,
Well, a flood, we
Yeah,
can't even do it that way.
Yeah, so what I saw, that this road is in a flood zone.
no, down here.
Down here, but not here.
No, this is.
Do you cross 23?
Yeah.
Do you cross 23, or is it
Yes.
going over
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, no, when you go across Route 9, and we cross 23.
When you get down to the.
We need a site visit.
Yeah.
It's before you get to Mount.
Yeah, that's from the quarry. I know we have nothing to do with this, just to,
Yeah.
so everybody can get a picture of the road.
Sure.
That's not built yet.
Yes. No, and there's some spots that you're not gonna be able to do.
Because I know when I was on the board and I saw that, I assumed that this was all done, because I saw a driveway.
Well, it's passable with a loader or something like that,
Right, right.
as far as it's not, drainage.
I saw a gate and okay, so that is.
It has.
It had.
Yeah, we'd be
Except
responsible,
for this little tiny piece
Yeah.
of Front Street right there.
which we are gonna pay.
But we're gonna pay, because Front Street's unimproved for a distance of 200 feet or so. It's dirt. And we also think that will favor the west because it will be logical. Sure.
So your emergencies would be blasting and flooding.
I guess emergency is not a fair word for it. They would just be, you know,
The reason.
what it's called force majeure events, when you can't use the road. We can't use the road.
How, what,
Unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
what,
Some of course, we have some nature.
what is
It's
the,
not an act of God.
what is the operation?
Sure, I think flood.
What is the time of operation component?
The Corey hours,
Yeah.
we can run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So
But
you
we
can
can
blast
only
at
blast from, I think it's 9 to 5,
9 AM?
9 AM to 5.
That's the only time.
It's in our permit. Blast. And we have to call,
And get
You know,
permission, let me know that.
well, we have to call whoever wants to be on our call list.
And
We
you said,
saw hospital. we
okay,
call-
you say you're gonna be on
County.
the from 7 AM to 7, from 7 AM to 7, so 7 AM to 6 PM. That means your truck's gonna be running that long, like your last truck will pass or get into the dock at 6. I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
Because I did.
Yeah, and then
I read you needed.
the last
four
truck will
trucks
leave the
just to
dock.
pull up a barge or something like that. You needed.
For loads,
4 loads. of-
yeah,
barge.
yeah,
no.
No, way more than that.
way more than that, I mean.
But it was the number of trucks that, like, I can understand.
You said that the last truck would leave, so your actual hours of operation, you'll still be on the road until 7.
No,
We won't be, the truck would, the last truck won't be through that gate after 6 o'clock.
Okay, so then just one more question now, because you're building this road new, and it is in a floodplain, right?
Right.
Can't your design accommodate the fact to make it higher so that it doesn't flood, so that
It's
one
a-
of those?
Yes,
No,
that's a good question, it's a good
That's
question.
a very good question, but DEC. So what happens if we raise that?
Yeah.
It puts the floodplain in a totally different area.
Changes the flood.
So DEC said, no, whatever we do, it has to be the same elevation.
Because at a certain level, it becomes a dam.
Right, so.
Because the
if it
tides
raises
move
up
through
here,
Now, so,
The tide goes right through there.
I'm just trying to work out whether we can eliminate those incidents or put some sort of.
There's not. I don't-
Totally
I mean,
reasonable.
how many
Once
times-
you get it, keep going.
Right, we wanna keep you, yeah, exactly, we wanna keep you. out.
Well, and we want to also, so at the end of the day, I mean, it'd be beneficial if we could raise it,
Right.
but we can't. I mean, 9G is gonna be flooded.
9G does.
Right.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know it does.
Oh, yeah, no, it
Oh, I see.
It floods.
Plenty of times.
But it's all designed, it was designed by engineers in all the plans before the town of Greenport in terms of the design of that causeway and how we're gonna crown it and pave it.
Right,
And it includes improving all of the road crossings in accordance with DOT specifications, because they were very involved before the town of Greenport too. So the places where we cross the road are all going to be cross roads. are
We
all
have
gonna be-
DOT permits to do that.
It's gonna provide.
That show the design.
That was one of my
They
questions,
approved
that
it.
you wanted to design.
It's a typical curve.
Yeah, you have to,
Yeah,
right,
we have to take the railroad tracks out. Replace it, it's gotta be a 90-degree intersection there.
All right,
Right,
so
distance.
can I ask about the status of all your permits? Because at the time that the negative declaration issued, there was a statement that you had all these permits.
Can you hold on, who has that?
We can't even hear you.
Who has the phone going?
Someone has this on it.
we still have a permit.
So we would like to see something showing what the status of each of the permits.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, wetland and stormwater?
Well,
Every
we have a permit there, we have
DOT.
DOT permit. We have the permit from
Okay.
DEC.
Okay, now, is the planning board finished? Does I want to open it up to the public, that's the next question. I mean, we'll allow a little time. Now, everybody's not gonna be able to ask their questions because we're not in a public hearing. But I do like it when the public shows up
Thank you, sir.
and they're interested, so we're gonna give some people a chance to ask questions, okay?
Anybody else want to see that?
You have to say that again louder.
I do, yeah, say it for sure.
Now we're gonna give the public a chance to ask their questions, please find a public hearing, we likely won't get to everyone.
Right,
But we will set a public hearing.
well, we will set a public hearing and you come back, okay? So, I'm gonna take a few people, time allowed, what time is it?
6:48.
6:48, we have.
I do, yeah.
And-
Go to 7:48. Okay.
Go ahead.
No. Stand up and give us your name. I know who you are.
Bill Hughes, 217 Columbia Street, for Council. So I'm glad you guys touched on, you opened your comments about, environmental justice. I don't think it's talked about enough, but I talk about it all the time lately. So as far as you guys, developing this road, should it pass, how soon would you be able to move those trucks coming up Front Street and the lower part of Columbia Street? Because in my opinion, that is an absolute environmental justice issue.
Good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
We discussed that. I would say we would start the project in the fall and in the winter of.
If we get approval now.
If we get approval now. And the reason for that is that our workforce, we have contractual obligations in place right now and have completion dates. And, you know, all of our workforce. So we would- that usually slows down around December. And then we can do a lot of work in the winter.
Would you be able to give us something in writing on that so we can put it on our board and let the public know? Because your application was submitted many years ago.
It could run, you're asking for the timeline?
Yeah.
For construction, we can give an estimate on that.
Yeah, you can give us, yeah, from day of approval,
Yeah.
depending on what that is.
Okay, we would, I'm sure the public will appreciate that. The gentleman in the back?
Hi, Jacob Walker, Green Street. There's one thought that you just mentioned about paving the end of Front Street, and I do think it's something for this board to be interested in. Is paving it is one thing, it's quite a bottleneck for this project. And I think this project should go forward. I just think that portion right there behind the Echo Tool Shed is very, like, their land property ends. And then before you get to the train track, there's a gray area there. And I'm not sure if it's just pavement along solve it all. One other thing I'd like to make a comment is my house shakes from truck. So this would stop that.
So does mine, Jason. I live on work and work. And I heard you mention work.
Can you repeat what you said? I can't hear.
Repeat what he said?
I'll read it
Jason,
out. Summer.
okay.
He said, basically, essentially, that he wants to make sure they've looked at the bottleneck on Front Street, see if there's anything else that can be done. Not sure pavement alone is sufficient for the number of trucks, and that his house is shaking from the trucks.
And he's on Green Street.
Well,
I'm not sure I understand the bottleneck issue though, because it would be two solid municipal lanes according to, and we would build it according to municipal specs.
It's not currently, I guess.
Right,
I don't know if that falls, how that falls with your project. I can't see the plan, but yeah,
when we improve the city street, it will be to city specs for a street,
that's the answer.
which we do all the time.
Right.
Hello, my name is Donna Stripes, I live in the first ward. I have a huge question regarding truck volume. In 2017, when Greenport as the lead agency conducted a legal review, they approved the Hall Road based on an approval of an extremely low anticipated truck volume, i.e. 20 trucks a day. And they repeatedly stated that it was assumed that the volume would not increase. They ignored the adverse environmental impacts on the project raised by Government Judith, the Hutchins consultant, and they mistakenly concluded that the project would not have any significant adverse environmental impacts. Regarding truck volume, history has shown huge increases, and there's a lot more to come. Based on the 2020 Creighton Mountain truck study, from 2015 to 2019, truck trips increased from 14 to 114 a day. The proposed volume is up to 284 trips a day, potentially up to 250 days a year. Annual volume tripled from 2015 to 2019, from over 5,000 trucks to over 15,000 trucks. And the proposed volume at 284 trips a day. Worst case scenario, we could be looking at 71,000 or more trucks. So my question is, what will the volume be and what are you willing to limit the volume to?
May I answer that?
Sure, that's, is it clear?
First of all, none of those
We
numbers,
can't answer.
none of those numbers are accurate. This was litigated twice. And that argument lost, and the court said, you're done with environmental review. They looked at the traffic. Greenport looked at the traffic, had a full record on traffic, and the court said the traffic analysis from the quarry to the dock was complete under seeker. And then the second court said you can't look at that you can't look at it again and delay this any longer.
And yes, we got it.
So those numbers are completely inaccurate. And the effort to relitigate the traffic analysis has lost twice. Once, when folks that are opposed to this project and have been opposed to it since the city decided 20 years ago to have a mixed-use waterfront. This is just grinding in a really old axe. From comments before the law was changed and the zoning law was changed to make it a mixed-use waterfront because the city wanted a dock. So it's an old axe being ground, but this argument has led the city into two legal mistakes. And all I can say is the courts have said the traffic analysis is complete. And there is absolutely no projection for those outlandish numbers. We are still within the Creighton Manning study that was before the town of Greenport plan.
Given, I understand the legal argument that you're making, but it would be helpful for you just to tell the board and answer the question, what the anticipated number of trucks are. So
I don't
we're
know.
all working for the same information, the same data.
Do you ask stewards how many ice cream cones they're gonna sell before you approve?
That's a little ridiculous.
No, I'm just telling you, we're not gonna get into the discussion of where our business,
You do look at truck traffic and you do look at hours of operation. So this is certainly.
it's already been looked at.
It's a fact-based question. How many trucks do you anticipate having on the road? You don't need to provide it tonight. 'Cause
Right.
The board's gonna go through the process.
We've already said
It's in the record.
it's in the record.
How many trucks?
You can just answer for the public. It's fine.
It's in the record.
Do
And
you
the Creighton,
remember what was in the
one of those numbers was right. The Creighton Manning studies,
Was it two, what?
142.
142 trucks,
What
142 loads a day is a maximum day.
Of how many trips?
142 trips,
Well, no, 142 loads.
142 loads, 2 trips.
284.
Right.
284 trips.
Okay,
So 142 loads, yeah.
and we are within that
284 trips.
peak.
Right.
Okay, it's-
Plus, I don't understand where the argument's going.
It's just a question.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's-
you know, it's not wrong,
okay,
unless you make it. that.
no, I'm not
So
arguing.
let's stop
I'm just saying it's done.
that.
And,
You're right.
and I'm not sure,
Yeah.
and
That was
I'm not sure what the statement
information.
tries to establish
It's
because
not
Not-
establish
not-
nothing, just a question,
Just
Okay.
asking a question.
okay?
We answered it.
we answered.
And we, right, thank you. Okay.
We did our.
Okay,
So the
When-
2011 LWRP specified that the truck volume had to remain what it was in 2011.
you don't have to.
Okay,
And it was not known what the 2011 truck traffic was because their records were heard. But planning board got a.
Let me have that information on the board, on the, on our page, right, about the 141 loads and two.
The Creighton Manning report.
Yeah, Creighton Manning report.
It's in the
Yeah,
Green
if
Report.
not, but make sure that it's posted so you can see it, okay?
It's also in Greenport Secret
Yeah, okay.
Review, environmental impact statement.
I do want to say that the numbers I read are directly from the Creighton Manning report, the 2020 report. And I don't know who hired them to do that report. I don't know if it's the planning board or, but I'm not making these numbers up. And just the concern is that the truck volume was here in 2015, went here in 2019, and it could be here in the future. And I don't think that's what was contemplated when city planners devised the LWRP and comprehensive plan for envisioning our waterfront being overrun by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Thank you for your concern. Any more questions from the public? Say it again, Ben. Any more questions?
Any other questions?
How about over here?
Well, I just wanna,
You want to address that?
finalize Bill's question. When your road is done, whenever it's completed, can we have an assurity that when the day that is completed, whatever, that those trucks will be off the road? There's no gap time, like you're not gonna be running.
You can make it a condition of the permit.
We will.
Yeah.
Nicole? Did you
Well, I
want to
just
share?
think one of the elephants in the room here is climate change and that we are predicted definitely to be wetter. So you can't use anything that's happened in the past. The tracks were just flooded. People couldn't get to New York recently. And you are in the flood zone. And it's not gonna get drier. It's getting
I don't
better.
think the whole road.
You know, you're in a flood zone. It's gonna flood.
What's the definition?
So you're gonna have more and more time with your trucks on our roads still than in this situation.
That causeway flood.
And what none of you are willing, none of you are willing to really say, we wanna use the causeway, but that's what we wanna do. But we're gonna have to use the city roads. I have a office at 727 Warren. Now it is absolutely unbearable, and you haven't even started yet. So that when you do this other thing where you're talking, when you have to reroute the trucks, that's gonna be, how many, 140 trucks or whatever.
Massive.
That, yeah. Winding its way around the 7th Street Park in the middle of town towards different businesses, people live there.
That's where they're
different. Yeah, I work there, it's horrible.
Yeah, that's what they do now.
And I know it's really horrible for the people in Columbia. So,
Absolutely.
you know, I know it's worse for them than it is for us, but it is, you can't even talk on the telephone if you have an office there because of your job.
Well, not all.
But I would love to
is
find a resolution,
It's a state truck.
but I just have the feeling that you're much more, you know, your focus and should be is on Carl Russo. And our focus is on our city and maintaining, you know, the waterfront and maintaining the environment and a pleasant place for people to live and to come to. And I don't see with 240 trucks crossing 9G every day, that's gonna be a really great situation.
Thank you, Nicole. Trust me, you have.
You know, the 240 trucks are passing right now. They're passing, these trucks are passing through our neighborhood right now, and it is an environmental justice issue. And I think it's time to allow this to happen and stop wrecking the roads, stop wrecking the infrastructure and the children's lungs who are breathing. I mean, we want a cleaner, better city, and I do believe this is going to make a bigger difference. And I think it's gone on and on and on and on way too long. And I mean, I own a building that is a concrete building and it shakes TSL. And I don't have a building like Bill Hughes has, which is a wooden building which sits right close to the street, and the buildings on Lower Columbia, the 200 block. Those houses are right at 6 o'clock in the morning, they wake up with trucks banging across their doorstep. So I think the reality is, we have a business in town that wants to share our dock, their dock, our waterfront. And I mean, a compromise is being proposed.
Yes.
And I don't see a way around non-compromising stands, which has been the case for too many years. So I would appreciate moving forward as somebody that works there, lives there, and my neighbors have signed petitions, we've voiced our opinions, and we don't seem to get an opportunity to say this over and over again. So I'm saying it over and over and over again until we can actually make the difference that would not ruin our community any further. I don't like living by these big trucks. I'm amazed that no one's been hit. I mean, how long does it take to stop an 80-ton truck?
80,000 pounds.
I'm sorry, 80,000 ton truck. How long does it take to stop it? They don't stop on dimes.
No, the damage is mostly to our, really to our homes and streets now, you know, it's enough. It was a gentleman here first.
Anyway,
Yes, okay. Linda, you finished?
State your name before we, so.
Okay.
We know you.
We hear you, we hear everyone here, trust me. And we're glad that you're all here. Yes, sir, you gotta tell me who you are.
Adam Minor, First Ward. And this might be an ignorant question, I apologize if it is, but could you help me understand why we can't take the trucks off the city streets today using the road that already cuts through the South Bay?
Yeah, it's two now.
In other words, you could come down, but you can't go back.
One way, it's one way down.
Well, isn't there a way to, I mean, I've seen people use one-way roads in two directions. I mean, is that really impossible?
Not without pulling off into the
So we
wetland.
would have to
Doesn't,
be waiting
Yeah.
trucks
9G or.
on 9G or for the road to clear. Let's say there's one coming down and there's one going up, they'll have to sit either in front of the Basilica or on Route 9G and I don't think DOT.
It's not impossible, it's just gonna take labor, probably a little bit more money, and maybe think it's.
the safety.
Safety and-
So currently.
It's not- it's good, that's a good question though.
Yes.
We use a piece of the road.
We use right here. Just that. Okay, this right here.
Portion of it. And so-
And that's because the service road next to the causeway is usable there. It's not usable here. Even one way,
In one way, okay.
and that's a narrow one way. So you can't idle for more than 5 minutes, so there's no way to.
First of all, you have to be pulling off on 9G.
Pull off where on 90.
And then down here.
It just doesn't work.
And your anticipated time, should this be approved, would be how long to build this road?
We'd probably be done by the end of 24.
End of 24.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it, you know,
Okay,
we'll get you that, you know, better schedule.
we're gonna take
Once we-
one more question from the
Once we
public,
get, you know,
and then we'll
a timeline.
we'll be communicating.
Yes.
One more question.
Little perspective, little history. I was on the planning commission 6.5 years ago, started as chair of the planning commission. Study, but here's my point, we all know what happened. When this first happened, there was a study done, it probably had to be this thick. I probably read it 4 times. And there's one stat that stood out in this document. And I don't want to throw the wrong number, there was, say, 40,000 truck trips a year through the whole city, that include all the trucks that come through here, okay? By Kyle Russo's, you have to give me, I don't want to throw any wrong numbers. By them taking their trucks off the street and using the wall road, okay, it's gonna eliminate 50%. I don't know what the number, but it's a big number. I remember it was in that document, okay? And then also, I believe at one time they had said they were gonna, correct me if I'm wrong. There was an agreement where you would let people that were doing business with you use that wall road.
Yes.
So they would.
Let me show you
What does that mean?
Okay.
It means your truck traffic is gonna be
So-
reduced through the city.
You get deliveries by truck?
No. So our customers currently come up here.
Oh, to
So-
buy gravel?
Right, and then they come out and they go Fourth Avenue and out. Now, they would be able to use this and circumvent any customer that goes.
We can't force them to do that, but why wouldn't it be shorter?
Oh, yeah, they will.
There again, they would go through the city if we were blasted.
Oh, so we get a 2-for-1,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and your customer.
Anything that goes south.
And we haul a lot of our material. Yeah, I mean, our customers. We send a lot of our trucks to our ground bank down on the other side of Greenport. And instead of going down Newman Road and down around the park and all that, we just go right straight up.
Thank you, Karen, for that. You guys to say no.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we wanna schedule a site visit, we wanna establish escrow and, between, next month.
What's that?
No.
We
We gotta do it again. We have to, because we don't have. I understand. It's only for the whole road, I think the one.
And the homes.
But not separate. Right.
And the application was deemed complete
Excuse me,
in 2019.
we were looking for information on how the hearings were noted. Confirm,
Yes.
yeah,
Always combined.
They were-
No. Reports at the end of public hearing.
no.
No, they did theirs.
But
Right.
I think, given the interest, there's going to be a meeting next month anyways. The board can decide to hold a hearing.
And we decide, we kind of,
Well, it's up to the board, but
well, yeah. I need a motion.
the question is, there were public hearings on this board is not, again, they've
This is
not.
a new board.
I understand.
It's a new interest, and we're only
This board
doing
had
the road.
several public hearings.
We're not
back in
doing the
2020.
dock,
We still don't have a.
But so the question is, do you want to schedule a hearing now that it's back before you to hear from the public on this particular issue again?
I would like to do that.
Tina, yes?
Sure.
John?
Yes.
Ben, and a yes for me, so.
So what's it, you want to schedule
Yes.
it for September?
That's fine.
Let's schedule it next month, but I'll next month. please.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a yes for you?
It's going to be September 12th,
For public hearing?
September 12th.
Can she hear me? She has her.
I have the 12th,
Okay.
but
Second Tuesday.
it's the second Tuesday in the month.
Okay, remind me. Okay,
So,
I want to schedule the site visit. the public hearing.
So what's that here on the 12th?
Site visit. Is the board amenable to like a weekend, or do you want to do it on a weekday?
Yeah, when-
Oh, wait a minute, I missed that. What'd
We
you
want
say?
to do a site visit of the road.
Oh, I can do, I'm better on the weekend for
How
that.
about you?
Yeah, because, well, I don't know if you guys.
Whatever you want.
Okay, weekend is better than all of this.
Could
Is
we
it good for you
make it
guys?
Saturday morning?
Saturday morning?
This Saturday.
Well.
What works? How about this side?
Isn't that the
Oh, wait.
rock festival this Saturday?
It is.
There's a lot of things going on in that.
Okay, how about
that-
then the second Saturday, the next Saturday?
I won't be here, but you can take a video, that's okay. For me.
So the 19th.
Well, this Saturday is our picnic, you don't come to that, but.
That would be being China. But I you can send it my way.
Good barbecue?
The
I
19th,
still might not have my.
the 19th,
Are you the 9 in the morning?
the 19th. Okay, Saturday, 19th, one more time. What time?
I mean, it could be somebody.
Somebody else.
No, yeah,
Ryan,
but I mean, if somebody
Ryan?
can't make it on a Saturday, we
I
could.
don't know who was it.
I'm here, yes.
We
Are you
need to.
available on the 19th? If you-
Saturday, the 19th at 9 AM?
Yes.
Yes, I'm available.
Okay.
No, it's not a public hearing, it's a sidewalk.
It's a sidewalk, thank you, support.
You available, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, so Saturday, the 19th at 9 AM. Meet at the waterfront.
Is there a place to park?
What if the guy?
Go down.
Oh, you know, that's the waterfront. Site.
I mean.
But you know what we're trying to do.
Okay, and then the public hearing is gonna be at our next meeting. And we'll have our report back and forth for that. And now we want to say, can I get a motion to it?
Reminding the board that the scope of its review is you're reviewing this application against the city's conditional use permit. There were some outstanding comments.
Excuse me, I'm trying to hear you, sorry, Nico.
There were some comments outstanding from Barton and Judas in a review memo, and so the escrow is going to be set to allow them to follow up on their comments and to allow us to move forward.
Okay, So can I get a motion to adopt the escrow for 15,000?
May I ask you what Department of Justice is gonna do since all the engineering is complete?
Did you just say that he had outstanding comments in his review memo?
No, I didn't see that, but what could they possibly be?
Ryan, is that correct?
Say that, repeat the question.
Do you have an outstanding review memo still on the Hall Road?
We have items that have been asked since 2017. So we would be reviewing those. And I think one of the main items that we would like to take a look at that Victoria, you had mentioned is the permits that were issued by DEC, the approval of DOT, et cetera. All of those state and federal permits and approvals. We'll be taking a look to make sure that those are still all active. What I think would be beneficial is if the applicants submit the latest permits and documentation that those are still active as opposed to having to go back through files. So those would be the primary items.
Questions from 2017 are not on the table, but we'll provide all the permits.
Oh,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I disagree. Questions having to do with the zoning review are on the table, so.
Zoning review.
Yes, we have to issue a conditional use permit under the city zoning code.
Right.
Right.
What are the questions? Can we answer them tonight?
No.
Okay,
Ryan has not.
okay,
Once we get your escrow,
okay.
we can have the questions.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so can I get a motion to set up?
I make a motion.
Okay, yes, and submit a second? Ben,
You know, on.
No.
Saturdays.
Because I'm not raising the amount that
There's usually people and stuff like that, you know, depending on the number of people we may have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a question on chat. That Ben. Okay, so Ben, can you see that?
I think you have to read it.
It's Sam Pratt. That's a Sam Pratt.
Oh, okay, so, okay, what is this question? Sam?
Go ahead, Sam, you can unmute.
Okay. Did you tell him?
Here we go. Hey there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, now, yes.
Okay, I'll reserve most of my comments for this public hearing now that you've scheduled that.
Yes.
I did want to make a couple comments and ask one question, which is, I guess, first of all, I don't envy the board since you really have a monumental task here for two main reasons. One, because the membership of the board is turned over so extremely. You have this massive record of public input on this project, as well as expert studies, et cetera, et cetera. And I wonder what the board's plan is for getting up to speed on that, because, you know, Carl Russo is trying to say they want to start in the fall. It would take a superhuman reader 3 months to read all those documents. But they are part of the record, and I do believe they need to be considered. I mean, we had hearings with hundreds of people over the course of a couple of years. 95% of them opposed to this project, or at least deeply concerned. So my question is, what is the board's sort of plan for everybody getting up to speed? The other monumental problem you have is you have an applicant's attorney, quite frankly, who is quite willing to mislead you and to sue you. And I know it's not a polite thing to say, but he has made many, many misstatements at this meeting. I will put those in a memo, but I urge the board to be extremely cautious in going back through this whole record in detail, and I believe that you will see exactly what I see. I'll give you one simple example, and then I'll put the rest in writing. Early in his presentation, Mr. Privatera stated that truck traffic, this type of truck traffic, was addressed by the comprehensive plan. I was on the comprehensive plan committee. I was on the technical steering committee. There were no trucks going to the waterfront back and forth, no gravel trucks when the comprehensive plan was developed. The comprehensive plan was talking about the state truck route, and constantly we have people conflating these two types of traffic. The traffic, for instance, on Green Street that was referred to earlier is overwhelmingly the state truck route. I don't know why Mr. Privatera feels the need to mislead you, but the comprehensive plan did not talk about truck traffic, gravel trucks going up and down Columbia Street to the waterfront, because they did not exist until a good 5 years after that review is concluded. And I'll put the rest of my comments in writing. Thank you for your attention. But I would like to, ask that question. How are you guys planning to kind of recuperate all this input that you've received?
Well, Sam, our wonderful lawyer right here has been diligently working for the last month since the case was heard to get packages to us. I've been reading for the last month, everything that comes. I thank the public. Confused? Yeah, I am. We've been sending everything to the board and they've been doing the best they can. One of the things we require that everything comes to the board within 15 days, not 15 days to Craig. 15 days to the board, meaning that you have to get, if you have to go through Craig, you have to get it to him in time enough for him to get it to us within 15 days, giving us the time we need to review this stuff. We are volunteers, we got jobs, we got other things going on. So if I have 15 days, it's gonna be a day I'm gonna read it. But right now, I'm dedicated my life to it. And we plan to be diligent here in this. And so far, we have read so much. That's why we are a little confused on, a couple of things. And we've been reading what you've been sending, what the public has been sending. It's all been posted so other people could read it. So, it's gonna take time, but we're gonna do a public hearing, so we have another 30 days to keep looking. We're back and forth with you, what's your first name?
John.
John. So just be patient with us, and trust that we're not going to ignore this and we're not going to blow it over, and we are going to read and not move until we understand every bit of it. And no question, I want to inform the board, no question is a dumb question. Okay, so. But we thank you, Sam, for your comment. Okay, is that good enough? Okay. So now. They can hear you. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna go to the next application. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you, Board.
All right.
Any questions? Give me a shot.
Yes. Got what was the next one? Okay. Oh, okay, we have an application that was sent to us. It's something that was sent to us today, a couple of hours before it started. Not one member of this board has been able to see it or get any information, but we do try to accommodate. And like I said before, if you are coming to the planning board, you must get your stuff. You have to go through the code enforcement officer, and you have to get your application.
Folks, if you are leaving, please do have your conversations outside, the board still continue. Thank you.
You have to get your application in time. Okay, this application is definitely not timely, but we want to accommodate. So now we're gonna look at 601 Union Street. And hello. So they're gonna present and we are going to set our eyes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
The hearing with meeting 601 Union Street team. I thank you all for looking for application this evening.
But I want you to know, we didn't get any of the approval from the zoning board yet.
Okay, well, I think that's posted online.
Oh, you did?
And that's been posted online on the city website for almost 2 weeks. I didn't realize it was the applicant's responsibility to get that to code enforcement.
And you have to get it into him to give us 15 days.
I understand, our
Okay.
application was submitted at the end of February, and I spoke with Frank like 3 weeks ago, and he said it was processing it for this evening's meeting, so I was under the impression that you all had it, I didn't know until yesterday when the agenda came out that we were not on the agenda, so
Okay,
it was.
and we apologize for that, because we are gonna try also to get the agenda out much earlier, so that when people see a mistake, we're not doing it on the day of. So that's another thing we're making changes as we go because of the projects that's coming into us. You know, this is not your $10 Hudson. Okay?
Much more significant, totally understand. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I thank you all for having us here tonight. I'm gonna get Lance Helper, who's part of the ownership team, start out by giving you a little bit of background about that's doing this project. And then Samantha coming from Taconic will follow up with the site plan itself.
Would he be able to start with, what did you go to zoning for?
We went to zoning for, we are in the urban zoning district and hotels are not allowed there.
Uh-huh.
So we went to the zoning district, the project had been approved for a 30-room hotel last.
Right, only by the planning board. Right.
After they started doing some of their structural investigations, they realized that their event space that was going to be on the rooftop wasn't feasible because the structural members of the building were just were not sufficient to support it. So in order to sort of make the money that they had envisioned to make the project feasible, they had to do the additional rooms, or they had to do the event space and a kitchen in the back of the property. And there's some renderings of that. In order to make that feasible, we had to go for another 11 rooms. So we got a use variance now for 41 rooms from Chapel.
Okay, so that's what I used there.
Correct, which brings us here. So now we're looking for a site plan approval. Clearly not tonight for site plan
Okay,
approval.
so it had nothing to do with the extension in the back or anything like that?
No, just that we were in a zoning district in which a hotel wasn't allowed. It is a very unique property. There's nothing quite like that in your zoning district. It hasn't been used for residential purposes in over 80 years. So, you know, it did really lend itself to something that wasn't residential.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Crystal.
So all that,
I was just wondering, just seeing what's easier, would you like to kind of hear the project more or more of an introduction first?
Introduction is nice.
Cool.
I gave you a good one.
Thanks, Crystal. I'm Lance Helford. I'm with the ownership group that owns the property. We also are the ownership of the brand and management company called Casetta. And just to give you a background, we came here 2 years ago this month and we're looking for a property. We have a fund, an opportunity zone fund, and I know Hudson is an opportunity zone. Kind of fell in love with the city. We only put hotels in places that we want to visit and stay. And so I've been here a number of times in the past couple of years. Looked at some other projects in real estate in the area and fell in love with the mansion here, the Terry Gillette mansion. So put in an offer, worked with the sellers, and had to go through the process to get it converted through the zoning board. So done a lot of work and research. The plans are really far along. Had to go through this process and had some issues in December or January with the weather with zoning board and meetings being canceled, but we finally got one through that. And so we are preservation at heart. We have projects in Taos, New Mexico. We don't build ground up. Typically, we buy buildings that are dilapidated and not used. Like in Taos and Los Angeles, we have one. Palm Springs is the oldest operating hotel. And so we like to take old buildings that kind of just need to refresh and redo them. Like to get involved in the community as much as we can. We have kind of arts programs that are environmentally friendly and do all we can to kind of be good stewards to the communities we get involved with. So again, we're not a company that develops and then sends it to a Marriott or Hilton, which isn't a bad thing, but we are ownership, we're brand, we're management, and we kind of do it all under one wrap. And so we're excited to be here. We love the property, we love the project. We love the city, so happy to share the plans and look forward to the next coming months as to how we can move this along. We have funding, we have the plans, and we're ready to go as soon as we figure that out with planning. So thank you.
So this is the existing site conditions, which just pretty much shows the existing building. Mansion in front, lodge in the back, and the existing driveway and parking.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I apologize. But can we take a 5-minute recess, 1 minute for me personally?
You don't have to ask.
All of us had made a similar trip.
Michael, would you mind reading while we're?
Sure, yeah. So folks, we'll take a 5-minute recess. We'll be back at 7:33. Okay, 7:32.
Okay, we're back. Good evening, everyone. Okay. What's your name?
Samantha.
Samantha is presenting for 601 Union.
Okay, so that was the existing conditions plan. Now the proposed conditions.
The proposals meaning new.
Yes. So the existing building is getting converted into a boutique hotel and restaurant cafe lounge. And that will house 31 hotel rooms. And the proposed parking of 21 spaces. And we have also proposed a drop off in the front with rerouting the sidewalk going around it.
And in the rear of the building, we have a proposed gym and spa area. Proposed guest rooms, 10 additional rooms in the back with a proposed bar and kitchen. And an event space and a pool with patio all around.
So this is similar to what you had before. so
Yes, you guys seen this before,
You've
yeah.
added those 10 rooms
Mhm.
behind,
Yeah.
right? And is that because you're building a second level on the back? Is that how you're able to do that?
So originally, the plan was to put the event space on top of the roof of the mansion. But after the property was purchased, they did some structural investigations and realized that there wasn't sufficient structure to support that. So that had to be moved into the back of the space, back to the, and the only way to afford that was to put some additional rooms in to cover what was going to be on top that now has to be built down below.
So with that second building in the back, how many stories is that building?
Two.
It's 2 stories, okay.
Yeah.
And bed space below and rooms above.
The event space is over here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
room
rooms
block
are
is just
two-
5-on-5.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
And that's, yeah, this area is the guest rooms, the kitchen and bar,
I see.
and then the event space. This is the proposed utility plan. The water and sewer will be connected to the city. And all the utilities will come from.
You don't have to go through an extension. Did someone tell you you didn't have to do it?
I'm sorry, what?
Were you told or given instructions or information that you did not have to do a sewer extension?
The sewer extension, I don't
No.
believe so, no.
No.
So you may have to do
Yeah.
that. So that's.
I think that they're waiting for a little bit more clarity on.
Yeah, we're all waiting
Yeah,
for that,
exactly.
trust me.
So
But you said that it's connected, so I'm just saying that we don't know that yet.
right, proposed to be connected there, yeah. But I think the engineering on that will come once we understand a little bit more specifically what the city is looking for.
And as soon as we.
Yeah.
But you have your flow analysis and your water usage and all that stuff mapped out, is that in your plans?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Ben has.
Sorry, what's the heating system, like, what type of heater are you using?
I'm not sure, yeah.
These are civil,
Yeah.
so it's.
I'm just in charge of
It's it, yeah, sorry. And Andy is from the architecture side, so Samantha from Taconic Engineering as civil, Andy is with the architecture firm.
Okay, so we don't need to ask
So-
building questions for her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know some.
I can try to answer your other questions.
Everyone up here can answer. It's different, only because the front in the mansion, we're working with existing structure and, trying to, so it's gonna be 2 different systems throughout the building.
Will be electric. I'm curious. Electric heat.
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
We'll certainly confirm that. Yeah, and it is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You know, we're working our way toward that, but we'll certainly confirm.
And just for my own background, what hotel class do you typically go for with your brand? Are they like luxury hotels, or are they mid-class, or are they?
I'd say in between those, we're not usually the high end in the market, like we won't be like the Maker, for example, we usually like to come in like second, so it's more affordable, but really nice touches and good areas and a lot of amenities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, when you made a prior, prior visit, you said that some of the amenities would be open to the public. Is that still the case?
That's still the plan,
Pool
yeah.
and some of the other.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the membership program at all the properties, the one that we're finishing up in Taos, New Mexico, everyone is dying for the pool to open because there's not a lot of pools there.
Right.
But it's be similar here to where, you know, you can, if you're a member, you can get used to the bicycles, the pool, wellness center, stuff like that in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And so we're taking the whole community in consideration when we're pricing also our membership.
Oh, yeah, it's
Everyone has an equal opportunity, so to speak, of being able to afford that.
definitely,
That's a biggie.
I don't wanna, I wouldn't wanna speak for Lance, but it's more of one to just kind of keep people from wandering in off
Well,
the
of
street.
course.
It's like a, we're basically going into like match a local gym membership, so I think the one in Taos we were looking at was like
$49 a month, which was the same as the other gyms in the area.
That's more reasonable
So,
than $169 a
Right,
month, because
right.
we're gonna exclude some people that are native residents of. I'll be honest.
yeah, I'm gonna pay $200 this one month, but yeah. Definitely.
Here's our proposed grading plan.
Okay, we're gonna need your name, so just tell Linda your name so she can know. Sir, your name.
Sorry, I was looking up the question for you. But my name is Gary. My last name is Mead, and I work as a project manager.
He's a project
For the
manager.
group, yeah. And I'll be relocating here as soon as we get our approval.
Okay, I'm
Samantha,
Samantha, and she's the.
Taconic Engineering.
And you're
Lance Helford with ownership.
the owner and
And I'm Andy with architecture firm, the architects on the project.
Andy what? Andy what?
KIKTA.
Because we go to her to find out who we're talking for.
These are eyes and ears.
That's right. And we leave you with so deep. Okay, go ahead. I do have questions for you before we go to the next guy,
Okay.
but I'll let you finish.
And this is the erosion sediment control plan. Pretty much the whole area being disturbed, approximately 2 acres.
Say how many acres, I'm sorry?
2.
Two?
And is it still that cars will not be allowed beyond
Yeah.
the front area?
Just fire.
So how do they get to the event? If the cars can't come, the event is out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have to walk through the property.
Where did the cars start?
right here. This is the parking area. Right next to the building. Union Street is over here.
And if you're a guest, we would just exit here to go to the event.
How about handicapped people? How they gonna get there?
It is an accessible route. We've made sure that there are the steps and everything's compliant with ADA access. So there is also a path that runs at the south side of the building, through that space and down to the event.
How far is that? About a block?
I'd have to confirm the exact distance.
From here to here?
From here to the event spot, take for instance, I have to come in, I'm parking in the parking lot, and I'm going to an event. How far am I walking? And it's on the outside, right? You're walking all out.
Yeah.
It is exterior.
About a block.
Sorry.
What's a
I
block?
would say this is about a football field, which is 300 feet probably.
Yeah.
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 And what's the capacity of the event space in terms of people standing?
About 300 feet.
We're saying it's 200.
200?
You know, originally I had asked a question about, emergency vehicle access. And I don't, and I,
Yeah, that's true.
can you outline where that would be? And have you talked to the fire department to,
We have a meeting actually next week with the fire department, yeah.
So.
Yeah, on site,
There's
yeah.
11, right?
Yeah. But right now, we're proposing the fire truck access, emergency access, right on the outskirts of the
Right.
property. Or along the property line, outskirts of the proposed work.
That'll be a drivable road for a truck.
For fire, yeah, an emergency, yeah.
And you're gonna leave it as a fire lane only or?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna do like grass paved approved, so it doesn't look as like
It doesn't look
doesn't
like.
look like a road.
It doesn't look like. I don't
yeah.
think they do that.
I don't know.
What was it?
You're gonna have to see
They're
that.
gonna talk with them about it, they'll let them know.
And then these are just our typical detailed ADA, ADA parking space,
How
with the
many?
access aisle. How many ADA spaces? 1. That's what's required for the amount of spaces we're providing.
And I wanted to say you have a 40, your rooms are 41 rooms, right?
Yes,
But you only have 21 parking spaces.
yeah.
So where are the other 20 people gonna go? That bring their car.
We should have our parking study for you on next month and some answers on that as well.
Because, you know, if there was a survey, I read that most people drive here, one car.
Drive to Hudson?
I think in our survey, it said quite a bit, take the train and then sometimes they either walk or take a shuttle from the train, which will probably provide access to someone to pick up as far as like kind of like the maker does in here. mini car. So,
Will you offer that type of service?
yeah,
You offer shuttle service?
yes, yeah.
Oh, you are really can.
We will, yeah.
The shuttle from the train station plus the bus station. Go ahead. But,
Yeah.
but you gotta look into
We'll
that.
submit that report and, ahead of, so you guys have it.
And there's no way to put 20 other parking spaces in there. To make it even for the rooms.
I wish, yeah, no, but we have solutions for it, but it'll be in the study that they're working on.
So you say event space, are you having like weddings, special events,
Yeah,
for how many people?
Yes.
the maximum of like, the number we're using right now is a maximum of 200 people for a wedding in the back.
Where they're gonna park.
Oh,
that's gonna be-
Yeah.
So,
That's a trick question. I was like,
They're not gonna park on the street, but that's what.
people keep starting the back. As we talk about event spaces in the back, what are you gonna do to mitigate sound? Because it's pretty quiet back there. There's houses not that far on the other side. In your plan, right there, where you're doing the material specs, what are you doing to encapsulate the event space so that sound doesn't leak out and disturb the neighbors?
So the other properties that are up and running in different states have similar, where neighbors are like adjacent to the property. And in the contracts, we actually have, our head of events back there, but they'll make them sign that they stay under a certain decibel to, abide by the local codes, whatever that may be.
Okay, well, one of the things that we were talking about in a different property is that, when people leave,
Definitely.
the door opens, sound is, so it's not just the decibel level with the door closed, it's what do you do, and in that particular case, they did like a double entry with like the corridor, so you open one, and then you had another corridor, so your sound wasn't directly leaking into the neighborhood. Just a thought in your design, but that's something that we're looking at. And what are the hours of your event space? Proposed hours?
Whatever the code requires us to end, will end, so.
Okay.
What was that?
I don't know what the actual code requires here to close down, like in Palm Springs, it's at 10 o'clock, and we have to shut the music down, so whatever the requirement is here, we abide by that.
I think it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that's what I'm asking.
I know, really, it won't be that late.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So.
After hours wedding.
Our biggest fear from Randy, which he was talking about, is that the ball field makes quite a bit of noise during events, and so it's not as quiet as you would think back there when the train's going and when there is a ball game going on, but
Right, but that's during the day. So
Right.
daytime noise ordinance is very different than after 10 PM.
Right, we still want to be good neighbors and stewards, so we'll make sure we take that all into account for sure.
And that's important to us.
Yeah.
Hudson cannot just continue to be, Hudson cannot change to be a good place to do business and visit. It must continue to be a beautiful place to live, good place to do business, and a nice place to visit.
Yeah.
So, and that's.
The same thing that attracted you, if you want to build, you want to be able to preserve that environment.
Definitely, yeah, and I mean, Gary moved his house, and runs our project there, and it's somewhere in the size of the town as far as how big house is and how locally involved and how they don't really like, chains and people coming in and all that, so we've done a really good job to get to know our community and neighbors, and we certainly want to do that here and do all we can to be good neighbors. I mean, like you said, we want to come back and enjoy it too. We don't want to see a bunch of huge hotels and not caring about, like I found the last presentation very interesting, and it's like, it's tough, right? I mean, you got two sides, there's no easy answer, that's why it's taking so long, so, yeah.
So you said you have references.
You can talk to the director of marketing, Diane, and the town of house, and like, they'll be happy to give you an unbelievable reference for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would say I think it's very similar in the way of, even apart from kind of being, getting to know everyone in the community and stuff like that, it's,
What's the population of the town?
It's about 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like you're out, the more you go, the bigger it is, but
Right.
in town, it's 5,000.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very similar, same size planning and zoning committees, and like we've, Lance is friendly with like after approval, of course, but like the lady who is on the board and stuff, like would go out and she actually bartends with her mom at this old pub there and stuff, so it's very, very small town.
You won't be hiring locally.
First. For sure, yeah. Oh.
Because,
Not just
you have a
construction.
school list, that's educating people in the, culinary. world.
Yeah.
What is it called, BOCES now, or Kleins?
Well, it's Questar, there's a lot,
Yeah.
each
But-
welding, no.
But that is one of the programs that is new, kind of, and so you will have qualified people that you can hire.
That's perfect.
Yeah, our food and beverage partner from that's in Taos has actually had a restaurant here as well, but he may come on for other, but he does a lot of programs at the local schools where they bring in like young aspiring chefs and he has them like kind of cook and do all the prep and stuff. So definitely interested in doing that route as well.
Just to give you a sense too, in Taos, we have a garden out there, and we're building it now, so we'll do as much as we can locally, and then the Pueblo, it's the oldest civilization in North America that's there, and we're working with them and they're getting high school students that will come care and take care of the garden and help us. We're also working with the University of Mexico in Taos and doing an internship program where during the summer months, they can come to our other properties, 1 or 2 students and have an internship. So we do all we can to get
That'd be
integrated.
nice, but we have, Hudson City School District, yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, any more questions from the board, because I want to set us rolling.
I think you have renderings, if you
Yeah.
want to see renderings. That's just not or visiting.
Almost there.
Right, we do.
One. Have an aerial,
Yeah.
the whole,
That's the proposed.
yes, yep. That's the existing mansion, the spa, the guest rooms, the kitchen and bar, and the event space.
And the pool and
And the
that
pool.
course.
And the color of the render is not exact, so it's not gonna be pink or peach.
And then this is from Union Street. Of the front.
That's what the
I love that.
differently designed front.
Well, you're not
Okay.
changing it actually.
Are you gonna change that front? You just-
Yeah, this doesn't show the drop off.
Okay.
The what? The what?
Drop off.
The drop off, that's the proposed.
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
circular-
Oh, okay.
That's mostly just since the road is kind of tight there or someone.
No, I go along with that.
Yeah,
I've been asking for that long time.
nice.
What's that?
Are those older renderings?
These are renderings from what you guys saw last time, I believe.
From my recollection, it's different from what was presented to the Historic Preservation Commission, which had.
Oh, it might be slightly different from the historic, because we went to the historic a while ago.
We haven't got approval there.
Yeah.
We haven't actually had our public hearing. They saw the application and we adjourned until we
Right,
were
but they like,
further.
I recall them liking what was proposed in this.
They're
Very similar. I mean, there might be something that have changed, but I believe
They were-
they're
That's okay.
very, very
Go
close.
back.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna ask for what, to see exactly. how the
Sure,
building's being
sure.
done, so.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow that and anything when we go back to them.
Okay.
We have our historical consultant on, and I know that the first time they were very supportive. They wrote a letter that leads to your
Yeah, I
guys
did.
and zoning, and so we definitely want to make sure that we keep them happy and we're not going away from anything.
I love that building. Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Not
this is the
basement,
municipal parking lot next door.
Yeah.
All basements are.
We left one up still. Yeah.
Always like that.
And that's the end of our renderings,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we can, because we have to do this next week, so,
Yeah.
we're gonna, any questions from the board? No. Okay, so we want to get a motion to establish escrow for this applicant at the cost of 15.
Yeah.
And the reason why we do this, so we do not have to come back to you. Because like I said before, this is not your $10 Hudson. We're getting $1 million projects in here. We're hiring consultants to help, lawyers, and they do not come free.
Inflation.
Exactly. And it all comes out on this one. So we understand that, right?
Correct.
So I'll make the motion.
Okay, Valerie.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So that means you're going to get a resolution that tells you to take the deposit of check for the city of Hudson for 15,000. And as soon as we get it written, signed, send it off to the stamp, we'll send it to you by email. Now, who is the contact person in this site? Bristol? Okay, so we'll send you everything like this. Great.
Well, thank you. We're excited to bring the building back to life and work with you guys to do this as quick as possible. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah.
May I have a word with the board?
After they leave? Or you wanna have a word with them?
No, I want to talk about their project.
Oh, okay, yeah. And, we're gonna, I like the public get involved even before the, public hearing, because if they say something, then when the public hearing comes, you can have it corrected or answer, right? Okay, go ahead. So what's your name?
My name is Walter Brett, and I have a house at 611 Union Street, which is next to the parking lot. So the parking lot is between this project and my house.
Okay, that's.
Is there a parking lot right there? That's the municipal parking lot.
Yeah, when you're looking at the building, you're talking about the parking lot on the left. Right.
I'm there. Yes, I'm on the left of that parking. The other is.
Yeah.
All right, so, first of all, I want to point out that a lot of this project is not behind 601 Union Street. It's behind my house, 611 Union Street.
Show us the rendering, please, so that we can see what this is what we're talking about. You
want the rendering or the site
I want to
plan?
see what he's talking about. The aerial is.
Yeah, so this area here.
Where did you get that from?
Are you the Brown House?
Yeah.
Okay, got it, with the night garden.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
Is that your house on the rendering?
House, okay.
Like, no, which house is yours?
Brown, right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Victorian type of home, beautiful garden.
Yeah, well, I don't currently live there. I've had this house for 35 years. I'm coming up on 40 years. Year will be 40 years I've had that house. And I came out of New York City and had spent weekends here with my wife and son. You know, it's a lovely place and we spent a lot of time here. I don't live there. I currently plan to move there and retire here. That's the plan.
Is that anytime soon?
Yeah, probably within the next 5 years. I'm doing work in the house now. Probably have seen that there's a new room on the house. But I have an architect looking at making some changes in the house. Probably before you at some point about that. But that's not what I wanted to talk about, just so you know, I'm serious about this house. What I want to talk about is basically it is noise, lights, and smells that I'll have to deal with. And you're going to have an event space that can take up to 200 people.
And that's gonna be directly behind your house.
You're going to open it up to anybody who wants to have, wants to be able to use the pool, wants to be able to ride bikes, whatever. There's going to be a lot more traffic. So there will be a lot of traffic. And I believe that this is going to impact, it's going to
Your way
impact.
of life, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna change things. It's gonna change things a lot. And, when you talk about an event space with 200 people, that's a lot of cars. That's a lot of traffic. So, that's something to consider.
I think with that said, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I would like to take a site visit.
Yeah.
And take a look at the proximity of his house to what you're doing. I mean, this is a small town. One person makes a difference and you have to understand that. Like I said, Great place to live.
I definitely understand that, and we actually contacted, Mr. Walter's attorney, we wanted to sit down with him and explain to him the plans and if there was
Well,
something.
we were at that time, yeah, all right, go ahead. I will-
So we just wanted to sit down and talk to him, and his attorney said he didn't want to, and so we do, like I said, want to be good stewards and neighbors, and if it meant just like lowering the roof or moving something this way, then we wanted to sit down, but as planning goes, it's gonna get more and more time and expensive, but your attorney said you weren't willing to do that.
You know what? Let us take a look.
Okay.
And
On this one, because it's a proposed structure, if you're going to do a site walk, I recommend that you request that the applicant stake out where the new buildings you're going, so that when you get to the site, you have a sense of what you're looking at.
can you do that? When you get that ready, then we'll do the sidewalk, so we can have an idea. About the.
I think we can stake out the outline of the building, I don't think we can go the height of the building though, because
Well,
there's
it's
some
really-
structures.
Yeah.
There's like the old, where the bowling stuff was stored, there's a whole container back there, but we can put stakes in the ground of where it would be.
Yeah, I'd like to see how, definitely how close you are, and really in the area, what is it gonna do
Yeah.
for that, just. Yeah, what, how are you gonna impact this particular resident?
Yeah,
And you'll all work together.
but again, the offer still stands, if you wanna contact me directly, I'm happy to sit down with you, but if you don't wanna do it, that's.
We have been through something a little bit different, which was the zoning board of appeals. There was a whole thing about that. And that's what we have been through about that. You've gotten past that point, and now it's time to talk about remediation. And how you will remediate what's going to happen there to me.
I'm not committing to remediate anything, but I'm
When I
committing to
say
sit down and
remediation,
talk
I
to you
mean-
about what our plan would be to work together to make it work, if you're willing to, but your attorney said you were not willing to.
Are you challenging the zoning board decision?
I did. Yes, I did.
Legal, are you filing an Article 78 challenge against the decision?
We still have a couple of weeks to make
I
that
understand, but
decision.
that's the question that was
Yeah.
asked.
Well, I don't know yet, but that's a
You only have
possibility.
30 days.
I know.
Oh,
August 30th would be the 30 days, I believe.
that's something.
Well,
Just to
that's
add in
between his attorney and us.
Yeah, just to add in on what Lance was saying, and from the first time that we found out that there was an issue, we had no idea. There was an issue with the other neighbor. There was a whole thing. They said the previous owner promised us our garden. We said, fine, we'll give you an easement. We can keep it. They're fine. When we found out there was an issue over there, I called Lance right away and said, hey, there's a neighbor that I've never seen or met before. There's some issues. I met the guy that looks after his property, and he said, let's figure out what they want. Let's sit down and talk about it. Now, almost 6 to 7 months later, since we've been delayed in payment from those allegations, like, it's so much time and money to keep like such a huge team on, when 6 months ago we could have said, hey, make everything single story and I'm ready to hang out with you guys and watch you build it. Then we could have like shifted, but it was pretty much like, no, you're not nothing. And so now it's like, we can go back, but it's like, everything would be so much easier if we can just hear things out and find solutions together.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah.
as a planning board take a site visit, take a look at, see the proximity, see what he's talking about, so we're trying to work together.
Yeah.
And we're not here to, kind of push your plans over to the side.
Yeah.
We are, we're just the vote.
It was more of making him comfortable, obviously.
And if you're willing
Yes,
to
sir.
do that, we're willing to help.
Yeah.
Too much to do site visit on the same day you're doing the roof after.
Okay, is it too much for the site visit on Saturday, the 19th?
No, we can make it.
Yeah, we can stake it out by then.
Remember having a time that morning
Okay, guys, would you be able to do a site visit on the 19th
after college?
after college?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah, let's do it together, yeah.
Can we have a time?
Well, it's gonna be 9 and then yeah, 10, go right to.
I think it's, I would rather see a little more time between, just so, well, 9 and 11 instead of 9 and 10.
It could be any day. We'll have it done the day prior. So I mean, anytime.
I can't do it. I don't want to see everybody rushing from away from.
Okay, yeah, so we'll be there after, which is about 11, okay?
We can have it done on the 18th. So whenever you guys arrive, I'll have someone there.
I would like to also, if you're going to do a site plan, I would like to encourage you to come in my yard also and see what I'm gonna have to look at.
Would you be there?
Why don't you meet us then? I'm
meet us.
supposed to be there. You tell me what time. So you're gonna be there on the night.
Give Linda your contact information so that we can reach out to you.
Okay.
Well, we split the difference, not make it like the next, then we could like, the first one's at 10.
No, the first one's at
Nine.
9, and I think is a good idea. John said 11 o'clock for the other.
Well, with the hall room, if we wind up doing a whole. We can have someone there at 10, if you guys get there at 10 or 12.
Yeah, like 10:30, I don't think it's gonna take 2 hours.
But I like John's idea. Let's have that time frame in between.
I agree with you.
It takes up more than one.
That's a board say. Already, what's the point?
Come anytime after that, just make it
You'll
rush.
be there.
And I'm walking, so that'd be good. I'm walking from there to the.
Yeah. So is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a start, okay?
Now, just to put in my mind, from the end of his building, from the end of his home. What do you think? 200 feet, 300 feet to your first building?
Well, it's 200 feet to the event space.
Yeah, to the event space.
No, from
From his structure, his building.
Oh, where's his house? You can point there, right there.
Right.
Mhm.
Is it 100 feet?
This building would be more than 100 feet because we have the fire road here. I don't know if his building actually like right here, but from here
I
to
think
here.
the building sits more up towards the road.
Oh, the building, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the building.
Yeah.
His house sits up, there's just.
Yeah,
the back.
and there's trees and gardens and stuff between his building and the property line.
Right.
This is gonna be very visible from my back bedroom, but it will be visible. It's something to consider.
You
Now,
have a fence, but not 6 feet, right? If I remember, there's a little fence that goes.
there is a fence
It's
in the
small,
back.
okay.
Yes, there is a fence in the back, but all of that land
Is
in the
high,
back is
yeah.
lower
Yeah.
than my
then-
property.
Yeah.
Madam
Um,
Chair, may I ask a question?
Just, we'll be with you in a minute. Who's talking?
Ryan.
Oh, Ryan, yes, go ahead, Ryan.
I see the renderings of it looks like side of the building, and the road frontage. Have any renderings been done? In the viewpoint or view shed of looking back towards the event space from the rear of 611 Union?
I don't know.
No, from the neighboring property?
Yes,
No.
okay.
Okay, so we'll be out there. Ryan, you're gonna come, right?
I'm gonna spend all of the 19th with you.
Okay. And we'll take a look at that. And we're gonna
Just
do
have
everything we
that.
can do to help you
Okay,
and help them. That's what we're here for, okay?
that's more than fair.
I love
Thank you
this
very
city
much.
here, right? I try the business, I want the visitors, and I want to live peaceful.
So, what information, shall I walk around and?
Yeah.
Would it help you if we found out the property line, at least how far it is in the building before you go there and then?
Yeah, you're gonna mark off your.
Yeah, we'll do that, but we'll find out how far from the property line to this building it is, and then again, his house is farther behind, so it's.
Might be helpful to mark the property line too. so
Yeah,
we
I
can-
think the fence is on there, right?
Yeah,
There's a fence at the property line.
And is it just, because you have a digital rendering of this, it is possible for you to swing it, around. Or is it possible for you to swing around and provide that?
They can certainly make a rendering as you request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah, we
I
might
have suit gas, I'm like.
We are. visual-
Somebody good.
But it would be they're requesting from inside his yard, so we
Yeah.
could, but we would just need,
That without
you need to get into the yard or get photos. sent to them.
We can do it from the property line?
Yeah. Okay, well, Ryan, what do you recommend?
Oh, okay.
So that's fine.
As far as that rear rendering.
As far as a rendering goes, I mean, definitely, I think, if the applicant could provide one from the property line, from the viewpoint. However, if if Mr. Brett, is, you know, open to the photo being taken from, a viewpoint on his property, where he's going to see it as opposed to the back property line. And if he grants the permission to, the applicant's design team, I think that would be fine too. So it's purely, you know, up to the planning board and Mr. Brett.
Did Mr. Brett hear that? I don't know if he was.
Okay,
Just.
you know what, Linda, did you hear it? Did you hear what Ryan just said? Ryan, could you just send us an email to Linda so that she can send it to him?
Is it?
Okay.
What's it then?
Yeah.
It'll be in
What's it
writing.
then?
Right, send an email what you're looking for and we'll make sure Linda sends it to everybody.
Right, so, yeah, that would just be helpful so that.
Yeah, I would just suggest being specific. Do you want it from the actual house, the property, or the fence? Because there's a big difference in how high you want it, just so we don't do it by.
Ryan, you heard that question?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, obviously you know, I would say that the planning board can't require the applicant to go on the private property, but if Mr. Brett's open to that, and he would allow somebody from the applicant's design team to take a photo from a vantage point of even his choosing, if that's okay with everybody, then, you know, it would be addressing the viewpoint that he's gonna see most often.
Right.
Okay?
Right,
Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
I will tell you, there was one other fellow here who actually did come up in the property and did take some photos.
Yeah, that was me and my coworker.
Oh, so you have.
I do have some photos, not, it was like in the garden area, so it wasn't like right at the house or, you know, it was still up at the top.
Fine, you can come
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so Ryan is gonna send us exactly what he's looking for. Linda will make sure each one of you get the instructions, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so
That's
now, it's been a long night and we thank you and we'll,
Can you pass this, bro?
No, we didn't.
Did we do that?
We had, yeah.
We did, right?
We said
Yeah.
1,500, we said that 1,500.
1,500,
all right.
Now?
1,500, I was like, I didn't think. Strike it, I'm not the chairperson.
Question in terms of updates, are we now sending all of that to Linda Fenoff? Should we copy you on any application?
Copy Victoria,
updates?
me and Linda. Victoria. Cassandra, you see Cassandra?
Yes.
You want Victoria, Cassandra, and you and Linda?
No, shame.
It's okay, I can share. it.
Okay, Victoria, me and Linda, yes, please add her into everything.
Is,
Have to vote for me. Oh, I have it.
That was 15.
But I don't have the first and the second.
I thought we did.
You know.
I think I seconded that, I'm pretty sure. Did you make that motion?
Yeah, I have it. Let's see.
You made the motion.
It was Randall and Ben. First was Randall, second was Ben.
Right.
Okay, thank you. See you next month.
on the render, sorry, we'll jump on it right away once we get the photo, but is that something you want within our 15 days prior to the next one, or just as soon as we get it emailed over?
Yeah, you can do before 15 days, you just can't do later than 15.
Okay, but it is some, okay.
As soon as you
perfect.
get it, send it right over.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was good. That wasn't that.
And I think
We're not, wait a minute.
Voluntary motion.
Okay, now we're into other business. We did the remembering the old ones. Welcome to the new ones, yes. Okay, we talked about the application to mention the 15 days. I got that.
Just so that you know, lost the city hall free connection.
Yeah, you said.
It's not there.
Really?
Yeah.
In this room, it is a little bit hard, so HFD guest, if you have it, will be the best tower in this room.
Just what I'm.
No, we lost the connection, but I was able to even get the connection.
Hold on. I gotta find it.
It was considered secure.
Go, yeah, go to, I have the city that works to connect you.
No, but I wanted to-
All right, guys, we still in our meeting. So now we're gonna talk about, we got a letter from Miss Emma O'Donnell. And she already has a certificate of occupancy. So she wants her escrow refunded, released. And everybody is in to refund that after they get zero. So can I get a motion to release the escrow for Emma McDonald? Okay, Randall. Okay, John. Okay, now, planning board training, I think I mailed you, who has what, Linda? Bettina's finished. I'm finished.
I'm not.
Yeah, because you went to our.
Bettina's finished and I am finished. And Jean is finished, but he's not here. Matt, Ben, we sent you training.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you're responsible for doing it,
Yep.
4 hours, okay?
Yep.
Do it as soon as possible.
And Randall did 4 hours, didn't he?
No, Randall did 3 hours.
Felt like one.
Randall still owes us an hour. Randall, please.
Before, yeah, let me answer-
January.
Yeah, before.
And then John hasn't done anything.
No, he has two.
I have to-
You have to wait until he only needs 2, Randall needs 1, and Ben needs 4. Okay. Linda knows.
There's actually an interesting, it's, I think it's Association of Towns coming up, but the planning and zoning stuff is, you know, very similar for cities and town boards, so I will forward you the link in case you want to go.
Okay, thank you.
But you could have something, I did a YouTube video, like for an hour,
Yeah.
When?
like a long time ago, that's, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of
send me a
times. with-
certificate.
A lot of times with the YouTube, I found out last year that you can watch the whole 2 hours of a video. And there's no way for them to give you a certificate saying that you did it.
Right.
There's an interactive component as well as the regular YouTube thing. Next time, just poke around, it's like the Department of State.
Well, I was gonna ask the try, is there like a one-on-one that you can send me a link that can,
I will look for the ones that give you certificates.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, can we?
This is the Department of State and they have planning board training as a sub.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all know that Gene has left us.
Is that okay?
Yeah, because he has a job with the city, so he said bye. He's gonna miss us.
He's
a
important,
lot.
he's got a job.
Okay,
He's gonna come
Gene,
protect
we're gonna
us
miss you.
in meetings.
That's right, that's why he's here.
Protect us.
And everybody goes to the new member,
How you doing?
Ben,
Good day.
Ben,
Then where's your bio?
Ben.
Yeah, you're going to go stay.
Last name.
Oh, Ford.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Our newest member.
Okay.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from, did we get minutes from? No, okay. So can I get a motion to approve the bills?
Maybe I should put the bills.
Second.
Then, okay. Committee reports.
He can
It was,
them, because it's reviewing the form of the bill.
yeah, I sent you the bill. Okay. Committee reports, that'll be you, Randall. And John, did Jean give you everything for the committee about the escrow money?
No. You know where to find.
Okay, you went to that.
Yeah, at the IDA meeting, and I'm just trying to think of the specific property that we spent the most time on. Well, we did 2 things. The city's gonna do a land sale or contemplating giving property to the conservation department.
Yeah,
And
two buildings are up for sale by the city already.
right, but we wanna give it to them for $1, so to the conservation. But part of the questions came up that it's far easier to sell it to them them to just give it to them so that they're investigating, which ways to do that, but the IDA was willing to do it. And, the Providence Hall, that's it, the company that, bought Providence Hall in Scotland Court came up, they were applying for a pilot a project, and they had several different options on, shelter, shelter.
So they're gonna keep it below moderate.
They're gonna keep the property, all of the tenants, rents will not go up, no tenants will be displaced. They're gonna do a renovation in place so the tenants don't have to leave. Those properties represent 30% of the affordable housing stock in, in the city. And so the decision was made by the board that it's worth giving a 7%, like they're entitled to a 10% shelter rate. We ended up giving them, they wanted a 5%. We ended up compromising, giving them 7%. And it's based on some sort of formula, so it's not just.
How many years, 20?
I think it's, I'm not gonna, it's either 20 or 30, I'm not sure.
Okay, so, now we're gonna talk about just in brief minute, our 2024 budget, and, Victoria and I worked on that because, we're running out of funds, and I'll talk to you later about it, because I'm not sure where we're running out, but we're running out, but when I looked at the budget, there was money, but it's not in the right place, right?
What do we use?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean? Like, we don't get paid, so.
We have to pay for lawyer fees, and Ryan has been consulting with us.
But I thought they came out of the.
Part of what's been happening is, for discussions about specific applications, we bill the applicants directly. But there have been a lot of discussions, especially related to the sewer project, the sewer extension, that aren't specific to a project, or more specific to how the city is going to handle this, that can't appropriately be billed to one particular project, because it's a bigger discussion, and I think that's the engineering and legal trying to sort that out.
Right, and other things that come up on the board, that Victoria has to have a session with me or you, or questions. Remember, this is not, and I'll say it again, this is not our $10 Hudson. We have projects coming into Hudson that's never been here before, it's much bigger, much broader, and we just can't be not informed.
Right.
Okay. So we're gonna work on that budget, hoping that we can this year get some money and more money in the general fund. I think it is that we ran out, right? Because everything was saying today.
When was that fiscal year?
I mean, it was based on your request from last year, so, and things, as you just explained, you had more expenses than you anticipated, so it's reasonable.
And there's a hand up
There's a
too.
hand up from Al.
Oh, it's a hand up. Okay, so we'll go to the, any more questions from the board? Okay, who's hand up?
Lukey Forbes.
Okay, Luke. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Am I able to give a public comment?
Yeah.
Regarding one of the things that was held during the agenda today?
Sure, I mean, the applicants have all left, so we have to be here to.
Did we miss you? Did you?
I actually didn't see on the agenda that it was allowed, and I kind of joined a little bit late, but I did want to give public comment regarding one of the things being heard.
Now, state your name?
Lukey Forbes. I am the campaign coordinator for the Hudson Catskill Housing Coalition.
Okay, you got that.
And I do apologize for joining a little tardy. My time frame was on. I'm currently in Mississippi helping out with some work down here. But I did want to tune in regarding the Carl Russo's request for his whole road. This is something that we are currently actually trying to work with members in the city's planning board, as well as city's council and other residents in the city, because we are a housing coalition. We really are dedicated towards the tenants of Hudson, and the amount of carbon fumes that already go through the city of Hudson due to the over 200 trucks that already currently go through the city. This proposal will just increase the velocity that the trucks are moving within the city. And we really want to take note on this and make sure that this is also in the back of your minds now that the courts have given the decision-making power back to you all. We really want to make sure that everyone in the city, we don't know the right answer to get rid of all the trucks in the city of Hudson. But what we do know is that we are willing to work with everyone within leadership to remove this environmental justice issue out of our city and really work in a way that we not only limit the amount of trucks that are moving, but get to a way where we don't have that many carbon fuels just flowing through our city. That was just really the public comment that I wanted to make. And again, this is something that we are still actively working with members within the city, county, and even beyond, as we are trying to find a way to make this something that is realistic, to maybe make an alternative road that is outside of the city. Yeah.
And I don't think you are alone. You wasn't here doing the presentation probably, but you're not alone. And we thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see, Tom is doing something. What is he doing?
No, it's a.
Is he writing?
Doesn't close caption.
Right here, okay, so now can I get a motion to, any more questions from anybody? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, let's go home.
Anybody?
Thank you.